Hi, welcome back to our honors geometry videos. On this video, we're going to talk about how to solve for missing sides in a non-right triangle using the law of cosines. So the law of cosines states that, and of course you can change all the variables around, but I'm going to say a squared, actually let me do c squared instead. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. And that's our Pythagorean theorem. So that's what it would be if it were a right triangle. But since it's a non-right triangle, I'm going to have to add on some extra information that will help us solve for the non-right triangle. And that would be minus 2 times a times b times the cosine of angle C. Now, this is all one term. I want you to realize here that since this is multiplication, this is all one term. So I could simplify. Maybe I'd get like 40 times the cosine of C. That's not what we end up with here. At least I don't think so. But here, I want you to identify that this is one term, that negative 2ab cosine of C. So what I'm going to do here is I need to solve for a missing side. We'll call that S. So I'm going to say that S squared equals Q squared plus R squared. And then the numbers in the middle, or the variables in the middle, are always going to repeat. And whatever side you're finding, the angle opposite that has the same variable, so you should start and end with the same variable as well. So I have S squared equals Q squared plus R squared minus 2 times Q times R times the cosine of S. So now let's fill in some numbers. I don't know what S squared is, but I know Q is 8. I know R is 10. And I know angle S is 48 degrees. So what I would do here, let me actually change the color. I would treat these two as two separate entities, two separate things. So first thing I should do is I should simplify the 8 squared plus 10 squared, that's 164, minus, and then 2 times 8 times 10 is 160 times the cosine of 48. And really, even at that first step, you could type this all into a calculator and it would tell you what the number is. So you could have just done all of this in a calculator, but I like showing my work. So I would simplify this in a calculator. So I'd get 164 minus 160 times the cosine of 48 is 107.1 or 107.06. And that is S squared. So S squared would be equal to 56.9. And then to undo the square, I would square root that. So square root of 56.9, and I would get 7.54 for S. So this side length would be 7.54. All right, I'll help you set up. See, there's another problem in here. I'll help you set up this one. So I want Z So if I want z, I'll put z squared over there by itself equals x squared plus y squared minus 2 times x times y times the cosine of, now z squared, or z, is affected by its opposite angle, the angle z. And now when I substitute in all those known values, I get z squared equals x is 9.9, y is 8.9, so minus 2 times x was 9.9 times the cosine of 63. And you could do all of this in a calculator. You could. What I might do first is simplify the 9.9 squared plus 8.9 squared. So z squared would equal 177.22 minus, and then 2 times 9.9 times 8.9, 176.22 times the cosine of 63. And then I could take that 176, multiply that by the cosine of 63. So it would be 177.22 minus 80.00, and that would be z squared. So z squared would equal 97.21, which is pretty close to 100. So it should be a little bit less than 10. It'd be 9.86 units long. So first thing you should always do is substitute in all the known values. And since you already have your z squared by itself, I'm not going to do anything with that z squared. I'm going to simplify all this until I get a nice whole number. So there's how to solve a law of cosines problem for a side angle side triangle. Check out our other videos on laws of sines and cosines, and I'll see you soon.